I cannot wait to introduce you to our next guest, Rabbi Wohlgelernter. This is actually the very, I've spoken about so many rabbis and the impact they had on me, but this is the very first Torch rabbi I learned from. When I reached out to Rabbi Ari Wolbe, he sent Rabbi Wohlgelernter out to Humble, Texas, and taught a class on Musar. And the one thing I remember, probably more than with the Musar lesson, I definitely remember it had a profound impact on me. But one of the things I remember is that when you would start teaching Torah, you would just get so energized. And so by the time we were like half hour in, it was almost like you were exhuming this energy and you're vibrating. And I was like thinking, what is this guy on? And eventually I just sort of realized, like, this is what Torah does. And, you know, when you're teaching Torah and you're learning Torah, it's just like, it just, you know, it empowers you. I mean, and that's obviously something you experience because it definitely would brings vitality to us. And I have so many amazing stories from him back then, from the Musar class. So much I learned. And he taught us Talmud. But I'll say that what's been such a joy is moving to the community and being able to be at Shul with you. Your energy level there is always so high. You're always, I'm going to admit, I have a little bit of a man crush on you. You've noticed on Shabbos, I'm like I'm moving closer and closer to where I want to be in that seat right in front of you, because I love listening to your voice. You're singing and you're saying the prayers. And it's just been, it actually has helped me out a lot, because a lot of times when I first moved here and I never had where I prayed with a minyan. And if you can imagine how discombobulating, it's like, okay, this time we all meet up here at this time. You know, it's like, I'm in the middle of the workday. It's like, really, we have to do this every day? But then I would get there and it was just like, oh, I'm so glad I went. It was what a great experience. So thank you for teaching me from, I guess, probably 9 years ago.
It was, 10 years ago.
And still teaching me today, coming on the Shema podcast, answering questions for me. And I want to get a little more into that too. But first, I just want to sort of turn it back over to you and sort of tell about your involvement in Torch in the beginning.
Well, okay, before we start, I had a very deep conversation with my Itamar as he was going to sleep tonight. And he said to me, he said, is that, we were watching together, the live stream. And he says to me, is he really in outer space? And so for about 15 minutes, I had to explain to him how green screens work and backgrounds and videos, and not everything you see on the internet is real. So it was a really great conversation. It took him way too long to fall asleep because his mind was racing about outer space and how you had managed to get there. But
can I say that it had been much better parenting technique? Maybe not, but more entertaining if you had said, yes. I'm about to go in outer space with him.
And I'll show you a video tomorrow.
Your stock would have gone up so high in his mind, like, my dad's an astronaut now too, and a rabbi.
There you go. Okay, so next time that question comes up, I'll remember the Dan method. I love it. So yeah, I mean, I moved to Houston, my wife and I, and two little babies, two little kids, 12 years ago. And we were working for Torch, and I was here when the Shalhevet program, as it was named at that point, when the Shalhevet program launched, which was that program, which was, okay, Torch does amazing things for people that come to Torch, but what about people all out and about in Houston, far away from where we were, located and where we were giving classes, just to really broaden the reach. Rabbi Wolbe started the Shalhevet program, and we were going to shuls all around Houston and just popping in once a week, twice a week, popping in and learning with people and teaching classes. Yeah. And it was such a incredible expansion of what we were doing. Right. Taking this kind of the old model of, you have your place and you have your place where you teach, and whoever comes, and just bringing it out there and getting it out there. And I still remember, I mentioned this to you before, but I don't know if you remember, the first time I showed up in Humble, the first week, there was an elderly gentleman. His name was Shimon. Yeah. Okay, Simon. Yeah. I think he was even the president of the shul or something. Yeah. And I could understand, you come in sight unseen. here's this Orthodox rabbi coming in,
Right.
and he's going to teach. And I could see on his face, it was a little on edge, or maybe a little, maybe that was just his personality, but I could see something. And so I get up at the beginning of the class and I introduce myself. My name is Yaakov Wohlgelernter, and I am originally from California. I moved to Houston. I'm here to learn with people and teach Torah. And I could see on his face, he's like something changed, like something immediately changed.
Right.
And so after the class, he comes up to me and says, "Can you repeat your last name to me?" And I get that a lot, the last name like Wohlgelernter. I do get that a lot, but I said, "Yeah, Wohlgelernter." He said, "Holy cow." He said, "The last time I sat with an Orthodox rabbi, I was probably in 3rd grade or 4th grade in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the head of the school was a Rabbi Wohlgelernter. And it was my, a great uncle, a great cousin, a relative of mine."
Yeah.
And the guy, he almost fell off I saw his face just immediately change. He was wide open. He was like, "This is awesome." Back to the Wogies, right?
Right.
With a name like that, you just shorten it. And it was just such a great experience, really a teaching experience for me, because a lot of in the training and in preparing to teach, a lot of it is theoretical. And then you go out there and you meet all these different personalities,
Right.
and you meet all these Jews that are living far from real Torah centers, that are just yearning and searching and thirsting for what you have.
Right.
And it makes you realize how lucky you are to have grown up with it and incorporated Torah into your life and live a life full of Torah and Hashem. And, those things, it makes you realize, don't take it for granted, because there's people that are literally cut off from these sources and cut off from accessing it. So yeah, definitely. I guess we did my wife and I, really our focus, besides for the Shalhevet program, was what Ben just mentioned, was the talk program and working with young professionals and some of the younger people. And that was really exciting also. It was a great experience. We used to have, we had classes in our house every week. And I've talked to some former students and they said, "There was class? I thought it was just dinner." Right? That's how good the food was. Right. But that was a testament to my wife, that week in and week out, it was a new menu. It was exciting. And straight up, they told me straight up, "We came for the food. We came for the food." It wasn't the classes. And God bless them. It's for sure true. But we did that and really developed some really beautiful relationships with a number of people and a number of students, and to watch them grow and to watch their lives develop and to keep up a connection has been very special. After Torch, I stayed in Houston, working in construction and that type of stuff. But we've been able to maintain that connection to the organization, because if you're in Houston, you're connected to Torch. First of all, whether or not, religious or not, you have most likely you have to thank Torch for what your shul is today, what your community is today, what your institutions are today.
Yeah.
They very early on in really the real, explosive growth of Orthodox Houston, very early on, Torch was at the forefront of bringing guys in and bringing young families in. They were learning in Kollel at that point. And then in such a beautiful way, they've stayed on and become pillars of the community and really leaders. So they've become part of every shul here has some of Torch in it, and every institution really has some of Torch in. And they were really part of that real growth of Houston, being able to have religious people down here and attract people to move down from the East Coast and the West Coast and wherever else they come from. Right.
Yeah. I had no idea of Torch's real history. Rabbi Ari Wolbeser mentioned it in the morning. Rabbi Nagel came on and was mentioning that as well on air and off air, talking about this. I had no idea. But the impact Torch has had, and you just started talking about how Torch had this new novel idea of going out to the shuls outside the city and the suburbs and teaching. And here we are talking today how Torch has used technology to go all around the world. It's just been this constant innovation.
Well, when you believe in what you're doing, there's nothing that could get in the way. Like there's nothing that could stop you. So when you see a roadblock, I mean, you know that what you're doing is right. So you're going to pound right through it. Right.
Yeah.
So you have something like what's going on today. And what does Torch just says, okay, so let's figure it out a different way.
We have Torah. They need it. We're going to get it to them one way or another.
That's it. Authentic Torah, connection to Hashem. We're going to get it out there.
Yeah.
And they go out there and get it.
Yeah. I will say from a lot of the students I've talked to today as well, you said about your students, like, I just came for the food. But a lot of people's, connection, which is a learning experience, is having that Shabbos meal for the first time. Ben was talking about it. I've had so many people talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was mine when I went to Rabbi Yaakov Wohlgelernter for the first time for Shabbos. It was just being able to experience Shabbos that way. When you never had it, there's a connection in there, a learning process.
Yeah, you enter into a different time zone on Shabbos.
Yeah.
And anyone who's there can experience that and can feel that and can sense it. And they can sense that the kids are different and the parents are different and the husband and the wife are, there's just a different relationship. And there's something special about it, and that's the key. And most likely, it's really the food. Like what I said is beautiful, but let's be honest. Like having a meal like that once a week, twice a week, incredible, amazing, right? A Thanksgiving dinner every week with the guests and the family around is amazing.
The atmosphere, it's all of it.
Totally. And it was something that was so important. While I was working here with Rabbi Wolbe, was to watch the Wolbes in action, right?
Yeah.
To watch just the fact that the house is open and available for anyone at any hour. The chesed, the kindness that they do in the community, out of the community, for randoms, right? I don't even remember, there was a concert or something like that here, and the violinist was from out of town or something.
Yeah.
And we go over to their house after the concert. I don't even remember why we went over. And the violinist from the concert that we were just at is at their house eating a good kosher dinner, right? I didn't know them 5 minutes before, but they said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "I'm going to go back to my hotel." They said, "No, you're coming to our house. I'm going to serve you 3 courses, right?
Yeah.
And dessert,
and
a good coffee afterwards." So, just to be able to watch them and to try to emulate what they do, the chesed, the kindness that they do. And I think, at the core of what Torch is, we talk about Torah and we talk about Hashem, we talk about all that. But what it really is the ultimate kindness, to bring Torah to people that don't have it. Right. And to make it accessible and make people realize that they can live a different life, a life that can be fulfilling and that can, that their struggles now have meaning, right? It's not without struggle. We've talked about that on the podcast.
Yes.
But their struggles now have meaning.
Exactly.
And to understand that and to really frame it that way is the ultimate kindness that they're doing with the world.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. The first time I stayed at Rabbi Ari's over Shabbos, I was in my wife sent me there. She didn't want to go, but she goes, my job was to go learn how to keep Shabbos. Like, go learn what they do before we do this. And I went over there. When I came back after Shabbos, she said, what was it like? And I said, I go, what's your favorite hotel? She goes, oh, Broadmoor, Colorado Springs. You walk in the door and it's just like everyone's greeting you and like amazing, service. Although you have to come with like $300 in singles in your wallet, because to keep that kindness coming, you keep the money pouring out of your pocket.
What was that movie, Home Alone, where he takes the gum and gives it as a tip? That's how I always think about the tip. But yeah, you're right. Singles probably work better. Go ahead.
So I was like, it was like that. But it was like, it was so much kindness, and it was almost like, it seemed like, do you like teach the kids? Do you like a staff meeting, like on what to do? Because the kids are all in, they make you feel comfortable. It's just like crazy. And it's like, you do this every week.
And the whole family's involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to see, we could talk about the Wolbes forever, but this is what it really is. The focus of the organization is that this is a lifestyle. This is our family's lifestyle. Family's lifestyle is bringing Torah and Hashem to people who don't yet have it.
Yeah.
Right. Who should have it, but bringing it to them, people who don't yet have it. And that's a lifestyle that it really encompasses the whole family. And you see it by how they raise their kids. You see it by who their families are, and the fact that their family keeps growing, right?
Yeah.
Because you're part of their family and I'm part of their family,
Right.
and their hearts are big enough for all of those people to just join the family, be a part of this, be a part of what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you're inspired to teach what you know and to explore with other people and not inhibited from doing that
Yeah.
is like a testament to what's going on here. It says we're empowering to people, right? You
Yeah.
keep talking about rabbis, and the connection to the rabbis is so important. But what the rabbis are doing here is empowering people to make
You're right.
choices,
You're right.
to go and teach others, to go and get involved. And like that empowerment is like, it's such a beautiful, where it comes from confidence. It comes from emunah, right?
Yeah.
It comes from emunah. It comes from faith. There's no challenge to the authority. It's like, no, what do you mean? You have something to give, go give it. I don't see you as a challenge. I see it as a beautiful part of what we're doing.
Right. It's so true. I remember when I first just started learning Torah, I felt like I had, the analogy I would say is like, I feel like I uncovered this treasure chest, but it's just like bottomless. And I was trying to share it with people, but they didn't know what I was holding in my hand. I found it frustrating. But I sort of was able to find that audience, because when you learn something, you're so giddy with excitement. It's like, you got to hear what I just learned, and that it's very true. One of the things I've heard over and over again by the rabbis and by students is that once you learn, Torah, it's just, you're so grateful for it. You want to give it to someone else. You want to share it. It's really what connects the Jewish people.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so amazing. You're still teaching for us?
I still teach. I have a monthly class of some of the most amazing Jews in Houston. I think they've been getting together once a month. They do on a rotating basis.
Okay.
And they've been getting together at each other's homes. They have dinner, and then we have a Torah class afterwards.
Right.
And really, I would say a Torah discussion, because a very lively group.
Right.
Especially after, you get some wine and a little dessert after dinner. You come in right at the perfect time. Everyone's awake and engaged and excited. So we do once a month. We do, more practical halachic topics, maybe some modern day questions, ethics, stuff like that. We have some really amazing discussions. And just being involved in our shul, our shul, just being involved has given me the opportunity for other opportunities to teach and learn with people. I think that, if you'll ever have me back, I view that as one of my, my continued opportunities to teach on your far-reaching podcast. Is just it's just amazing to sit with you and get to spend a Sunday afternoon with you.
I love it. I seriously, I have a list of topics with your name by several of them. And I'm several that I want to be talking with you about, because I always enjoy it. There was one we did, you referenced, running and returning, and it's been so helpful to me, and it's sort of come up a lot about people's progressions, which was the whole thing that was great about that podcast. Is the very next Shabbos, it was raining. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I told you this.
I think you told me, yeah.
I came to shul with an umbrella on Shabbos and had no idea. And people were looking at me. I was like, okay, so it has purple polka dots on it.
I like it. I like it.
It's my wife's. Come on. It's like, what, and then, but everyone was so cool about it. Once they explained, like, you don't wear it on, you don't have an umbrella.
We just
like,
get wet. That's it. We just get wet. You just give in on Shabbos.
But it was, but there's certainly no judgment in the community at all. But what I wanted to share with the audience is that, and something that's come up a lot, because it may seem like the goal of the Torch rabbis is not to say, you need to be an Orthodox Jew. We're going to get you there as soon as possible. And if you don't do all this now, it's, all right. It's always been everyone's been sharing the same thing, which was like, slow down, go at the right pace, develop things, incrementally, but move forward, you know? And, you know, I mentioned earlier that the way I was taught and the way I've learned from verse in Torah or from a commentary on Torah is that the way God is evaluating us is based off the present value of our future trajectory, right? And so, and that's the way the rabbis always approach it is to grow. The Torah learning is always about what we need to be learning at that point in time. And I think that's very important for the listening audience to hear. You know, a lot of the people that God brings in our life and the lessons we get, they're all just being like custom tailored for where we are at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. It's about methodical growth, and that's what they're teaching. They're teaching, they're empowering people, giving them information, and then developing personal relationships with them in order that they can guide them in that. What's the next step for you? Right? Don't worry about that yet.
Yeah.
Worry about this.
Right.
Okay, you got this. Now we can worry about that. Now we can move to the next step. That's how our entire lives are meant to be. You got to get to the next level, one step at a time, literally one step above. And then you realize, oh, there's another step. Okay, let me work on it. Let me get there. Let me build up the strength to get there. Let me build up the conviction to make that decision, to make that change. Go one more step. Oh, there's another step. Okay, awesome. Let me do it. I'm ready for it.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely something that's at the core of everything that's going on here.
And I think one of the if I was in charge of writing the brochure for Torah observant Judaism, I would now it'd have to be on an online brochure, right? For one, it's maximization of joy. That's what it brings. Because like you said, there's problems that still happen, but you understand why they're happening. You know they're for the best. You learn it's basically, you learn something from it, you grow from it, but it's not something that beats you down. You know, everything we do, from like just taking a small piece of food and saying a bracha on it and really appreciating that food, creates more joy out of something that if you had not stopped and done that, you wouldn't have joy around it. You know, for the videos I would have for the online brochure, to really get Jews to understand that, I would have one of a video of Haimish on Sikmas Torah and Purim. That's what you lead off with, right? Because that's really what it's about, is having meaning and finding true joy in life.
It is joyful, and what joyful means is that it doesn't go by rote, right? We're not just robots. Every day is the same, and every day's good, or every day is perfect. That's not reality for most people. You got a couple of people that are really straight, right? And God bless them. But for most people, there's ups and downs, and there's life, and there's challenges, and understanding that's all part of your Judaism. That's all part of what is going on. And definitely. But to see the joy, I mean, when you watch kids celebrating, and you realize that like there's true joy and true beauty, right? I mean, that's the goal, is to keep that youthful enthusiasm awake inside of you at all times for the rest of your life. But you give them such a foundation where they realize the joy in it, and they can feel it, and they can sense it, that they can always, no matter where life takes them, they know where to go to get that real true joy.
Right.
When they're honest with themselves, they realize there's nowhere else to go to get that. Right?
Yeah.
They may experiment, they may go try other things, but in the end of the day, they realize this is feeding their soul. It's feeding something much deeper than just their body.
Right.
And they realize that from a young age. Is something special about it. And so, I mean, that's definitely
it. I mean, honestly, being there for all the holidays, and every holiday sort of like my first experience in the community, which is like, I didn't know what I was expecting in Purim, but it was so awesome. But yeah, it's seeing all the kids grow up in this type of environment. You know, I'm on all the emails for like Young Israel, and every time you see like a Mazel Tov, someone had kids, like, yes,
right.
You know, like the more seeing kids grow, because when I was growing up, going to Sunday school was like, oh, really? These kids, I come in there on Shabbos and Haimish, and there's like 10-year-olds sitting around having this engaging, discussion on a page of Talmud, I can't follow along, but I'm like,
You just
this
watch,
is so cool.
just watch and learn like
Yeah,
that.
so excited.
There's so much to learn from that youthful excitement and energy and passion for what they're doing.
And what's the rest of the world doing? Their 10-year-olds doing on shop? They're playing video games.
Right.
Like what? How amazing what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, and for any Jew not to be able to just be aware of what they have is something that we won't accept at Torch, and that's why we're going to keep pushing forward, keep giving everyone this opportunity. Is there anything else you want to share, Rabbi, with the listening audience on why Torch is needed by the Jewish people of the world and why they need to go to givetorch.com and support this organization?
Very good. Early in the live stream, I know they didn't plaster that you have it written on your palm, the website, right? But now you got it. So good job. I would just say your tzedakah dollars, the charity that you give and what you donate to Torch goes directly to increasing Torah knowledge, connection to Hashem, and real true growth and spirituality. And now we can say that it does that around the world. And you're really supporting bringing more godliness into the world, which is something that we all need as we march towards Mashiach, as we move closer to it. We need to increase the opportunities that we give people to connect, and Torch is doing that across the globe, and even in outer space, as you can see, right? So Torch is doing that. So to end, Dan, the man crush it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Sitting with you here in the studio is really incredible experience, and I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate it. And while we're here live, I wanted to. Are we still live? I want to have you back on the Shema podcast. So everyone listening know that I have a Rabbi Wohlgelernter podcast coming up soon.
Amazing.
Can you commit to this Sunday?
This Sunday. Okay, let's talk offline.
No, I want to get the commitment online.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to take out my phone and make sure.
All right.
I'm gonna have to make sure it's okay.
I want the audience to know they have something amazing to look forward to. And I have so many actually questions and things I want to discuss with you, but we can pinpoint one of those amazing topics.
Is it about Pesach? Can we start thinking about Pesach? We got to get in the mode.
Yes.
We got to get in the mode.
Yes. Pesach for sure.
Can we get in the mode?
You did Shavuos with me last year.
That's right.
Let's do Pesach.
That's right. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it on Sunday.
Because I've heard you talk about it, and last year you made some amazing insights. It was my first time.
That's why they were amazing, because your first time.
No, it was just me, my wife, and daughter.
Okay.
Doing the Seder.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm so glad that you got
to prepare. You got to prepare. You get the time's running out, right? I mean, everyone's got to start shopping. When you see the stuff in the store already on the shelves, we think it's too early. That's when you have to start preparing.
Rabbi Kuhlman, start buying now. Yeah.
Start buying, but start buying the stuff you're going to present at the Seder. Start preparing to present, because it's the obligation of the dead. It's on you. It's on you to prepare, because you got to have material. You got to have inspiration. You have to have stories. You got to get ready for Pesach. That's called getting ready for Pesach. That's our job.
And you have a list to help your wife who's stressing out about preparing a Passover Seder.
So you're going to have my wife on, because she'll describe how amazing I am. No, that's a really good question. But if you drop that on me in the podcast, I'm going to just say I have no idea. Yeah, you have to help. You have to help. All that stuff is important, but you can't neglect your true responsibility, which is bringing spirituality into your Seder.
Beautiful.
And we got to talk about it.
And that's what we're going to talk about this Sunday. So that's coming on the Shema podcast soon.
GiveTorch.com.
Rabbi Wohlgelernter, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.
All right.